Right, moving on to item number 6A, public hearing, which is at 675 El Camino Real. This is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a motor vehicle dealer in the general commercial zoning district per section 1296 110C8 of the San Bruno zoning ordinance. Staff report, please.
Thank you. As stated, the applicant has applied for a use permit to operate a motor vehicle dealer within the C General Commercial Zoning District. The site itself is located on the west side of El Camino Real between Keynes Avenue and Angus Avenue West. The site comprises of 3 separate parcels of land, when combined amount to 28,500 square feet of land. The site has remained vacant for the past several months. Between 2007 and the early portion of 2012, Slope Garden Center occupied the site, and prior to that, it was the former home of the Ford dealership. The application before us tonight is a conditional use permit to operate a motor vehicle dealer. Specifically, the applicant is proposing to sell pre-owned compact cars and family-size automobiles. The main structure, which is located on the southwest corner of El Camino Real and Keynes Avenue, will act as the showroom and sales office. The 2 parcels to the south of that will consist of the sale lot area where additional cars will be parked. 10 to 15 employees will be hired as the business grows, and the proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. It's important to consider when looking at any new conditional use permit process, we have to evaluate the project in relation to its current environment. Staff finds that the proposed motor vehicle dealer is consistent with the existing land uses and will have several beneficial impacts. First and foremost, a vacant site will be utilized. As stated, the site has remained vacant for the past several months, so it's important to fill our vacant sites here in the city. Additionally, there are a number of exterior improvements that are proposed. Most notably, new landscaping will be installed throughout the entire site. The parking lot will be resurfaced and restriped in its entirety. 2 new ADA parking spaces are proposed, and the buildings were recently painted. I would like to point out that there is a residential neighborhood located directly to the west of the subject site. Staff finds that the proposed use will not negatively impact the residential neighborhood, as the motor vehicle primarily fronts onto El Camino Real. Staff has added 2 conditions of approval that I would like to point out, which will further protect the residential neighborhood from this proposed use. The first is that employees will not be permitted to park in the surrounding neighborhood, and an amplified intercom system will not be permitted. These were 2 of the primary concerns when the old Ford dealership occupied the site. Staff did send a courtesy notice and the required 300-foot public notification to all property owners within 300 feet of the site. We did receive 1 phone call from a concerned property owner, and they specified that they would like to see the hours of operation reduced on Sundays between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. As proposed, it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. When staff approached the applicant with the property owner's concerns, the applicant stated that they typically do close early on Sundays, but would like the opportunity to stay open to 8 p.m. just in case there's any customers on site. Additionally, staff did inform the neighbor that we have added 2 conditions of approval which will help protect the residential neighborhood essentially from the proposed car dealership. We did note that employees will not be permitted to park in the residential neighborhood, and that no loud amplified intercom system is permitted. The property owner was satisfied with staff's response and is in support of the project as proposed. With that, we would recommend that the Planning Commission approve the use permit request subject to the findings of fact 1 through 3 and conditions of approval 1 through 27. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Commissioner?
Matt, on the employees not parking in the neighborhood, how is that going to be enforced? I mean, I've seen this a few times on different businesses, but I hate to see a condition that's unenforceable.
I mean, the site is relatively close to City Hall, and primarily we will rely on the residents. So if we do receive complaints, we will go out there and verify that they are abiding by their conditions of approval. If not, we will notify the applicant that they have to, we will notify the applicant that employees are not permitted to park in the residential neighborhood, but we will rely on the property owners.
Okay, and also for the traffic in the neighborhood, I brought this up a few years ago when another business was going there, but the White Way, the alley in the back,
Yeah.
I think it's one way the wrong way, because right now it's south, and so if anybody goes past, on El Camino past his business and turns right by City Hall there, because they want to go back to the site, the only way to go through it is to Linden Avenue, because White Way is the wrong way. If that was turned one way the other way, any traffic leaving the lot, if any of the service vehicles leave the lot, they can go out towards Canes and back out towards El Camino and just go through the business district. So I'd like to have maybe the traffic safety or the public works or whoever look into that, possibly look into that.
Okay, we could definitely have them look into it. Right now, just so I'm clear, it is a one-way street.
It's a one-way street south.
Correct.
Right.
You're proposing for that one-way street to
North.
be changed and go north?
North.
Okay. We can, I'll coordinate with the TSPC staff member to see what we can do about that.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Commissioner?
Does that property that they're going to lease include the substantial parking area for cars that's right next to the far west of the property? You
Okay,
know-
so the site itself is 28,500 square feet, so that consists of 3 parcels of land. Then there's White Way, and then there's a site beyond White Way,
Right.
which is occupied by Grace Honda.
Oh,
What's important to note is that the applicant is in the process of purchasing the Grace Honda dealership located at 345 El Camino Real, and that when the sale does go through, they will be subject to those conditions of approval, and they will have access to that site for the storage of motor vehicles.
I was just relating to Commissioner Marshall's observation about the parking. When you talk to them about White Way, perhaps you could would you consider talking to them about the, where the employees will actually park? Because I can see them wanting customers to park on El Camino Real. So if the employees don't have a designated place to park someplace on their property, it's not going to happen.
Correct, and chances are the employees will occupy the site to the west of White Way and park their
Right.
automobiles there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? I have one. Actually, I have two. The conditions of approval number 4 regarding the noise level, number of decibels. Could you explain for the record how is this measured again?
There is a specific formula within the municipal code, and it would be as measured from 100 feet from the site.
From the center of the site, from the furthest
From the
edge?
property edge.
From the
edge of
property edge on
line.
the further side or for the
Correct.
closest side?
It would be from all edges of the property line, so we would take 100 feet from every edge of the property line in each direction.
Okay. The second question I have is, could we get, I've heard Commissioner Marshall's issue about this street a few times in the last 8 years. Can we get this added to the city staff discussion so we have a follow-through on the
Yeah.
agenda?
We could definitely do that.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I am.
Could you take the podium, state your name, and tell us a bit about your project?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Capo, and I am one of the owners of Victory Automotive Group. We are the applicant for 675 El Camino. Victory Automotive is a family-owned and operated dealer group that operates in many states nationwide. Most recently, we have moved into California. My father started the company 15 years ago, and it is currently owned and operated by my father, my brother, and myself. We have recently moved into California with the purchase of the Honda dealership in Santa Cruz 2 years ago. And as of late, we also have purchased the Honda dealership in Auburn, California. As Matt mentioned, we are in the process of closing a transaction to purchase Grace Honda. And as a offset, and a place to retail and store our used vehicles. We are seeking approval for a conditional use for auto sales at 675.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? I have one, and pardon the irony of my question. How do most of your how do you anticipate most of your employees getting to the site?
Well, as of right now, the current employees of Grace Honda park on their lot. So what we will have is the new car showroom at 345 El Camino, the used car showroom at 675 El Camino, and as Matt mentioned, we have a storage lot that is directly behind 675 El Camino. That is where the employees of both establishments will park, and it's a short couple-minute walk.
The reasoning behind my question was if someone wanted to bike to work, they have a place to go and park?
If they wanted to park their bike at work?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not motorcycle, but bicycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But you have a secure lot, essentially.
We do,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you. You can take your seat.
Okay, thank you.
We'll open up public comment. Are there any members of the public that'd like to speak on this? If not, public comment is closed. Bring it back to the commission for discussion. If there's none, is there a resolution?
Through the chair,
A motion?
I guess I'll make a motion that we approve use permit 12-013 based on findings of fact, 1 through 3, conditions of approval, 1 through 27, to incorporate also Commissioner Marshall's comments about White Way, the one-way street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the question or motion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion's approved. There's a 10-day appeal period.